Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. As we wake up on Tuesday morning, I'd like to check in with the satellite picture here to get a little look at what is going on. We can see a well-defined storm system making its way out of the picture here over the eastern and the northeastern United States, and over parts of Quebec and Ontario. We've also got a trough over the northwest here, the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada, and that is going to keep rain in the forecast over much of the Canadian prairies here over the next 3 to 5 days. High pressure building in over the central United States, where we've been slammed again with repeated rounds of heavy rain and thunderstorms, but beneath this ridge, still the chance for scattered pockets of showers and thunderstorms. Looking underneath those clouds, we do have some showers ongoing on Tuesday morning across parts of central Alberta. We've got showers across parts of central Saskatchewan, and then another area of showers and perhaps some thunderstorms over southern Manitoba along and south of that Brandon to Winnipeg line. We can take a look at water vapor imagery here, and this again shows us a clear picture of not only this trough here over the eastern United States, over eastern Canada, but also this trough over the west that again is going to continue to pump upper level energy, upper level support for showers and thunderstorms into the Canadian Prairie region. So we'll go ahead, we'll take a look at the jet stream here on Tuesday morning, and here is this trough over the west. The Canadian prairies would be right about in this region here. But as we go through the next 2 days here, looking 48 hours into the future now, we kind of rotate this thing into even better position. Plenty of upper level support for, again, organized showers and thunderstorms across the Canadian prairies. So again, a favorable setup here, continuing to have a favorable outlook across the Canadian prairies for some rain chances as we head through the next 5 days, perhaps the next 7 days, with some uncertainty looming in the 7 to 10 day time frame. The national blended model actually, I think, picks up on what's going to be happening here quite well. As we go ahead and we look at the Canadian prairie regions here, I expect the heaviest precipitation to fall across central and southern Alberta, trailing off as we head across southern Saskatchewan, with still significant precipitation falling in this area. But as we get all the way off to the east across southern Manitoba, things are going to be a little bit more scattered to isolated in nature. So the heaviest, more widespread precipitation over the western prairies, with the eastern prairies seeing still chances for precipitation, but maybe a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more scattered in nature and not so uniform across southern Manitoba. We'll go ahead, we'll loop out the jet stream picture here from the European weather model. And again, here is that trough over the west. We're going to watch this kind of rotate into position here. Let me go ahead and let's play the loop here. Watching this kind of rotate into position, keeping very strong jet stream winds. That's what we look for. The stronger jet stream winds in advance of these troughs, that's where you have the rising motion within the atmosphere, the greatest upper level support for organized showers and thunderstorms. And we continue to see that, coupled with a feed of deep moisture from the south, with this trough kind of parking itself and reloading over the west here. It's going to continue to keep, again, the strongest upper level support right in this region, southern Alberta, central Alberta, southern Saskatchewan, but then places off to the east here, Manitoba, for example, picking up on little waves as these little perturbations exit the area or track through the area and through the region, getting at least isolated chances for showers and storms popping up. But that is why as we head through the next 3 to 5 days, we're definitely keeping favorable conditions for showers and storms in the region here across the Canadian prairies. We'll take a look at the precipitation forecast now from the European model, and we'll go ahead and we'll click through time with this one to kind of dissect and time out the more significant storm systems as they move through the area. Waking up now on Tuesday morning, again, this handles it well. These isolated light showers across central Alberta, central Saskatchewan, with some light showers and perhaps a couple thunderstorms across southern Manitoba. Now we'll play this out going through Tuesday afternoon. I expect to see isolated to scattered showers, perhaps some thunderstorms flaring up here across the Canadian prairies as we head through Tuesday afternoon and evening. Those die out as we head into the overnight. Wednesday, seeing the same sort of picture, but again, the more widespread shower activity going to be confined to central Alberta, with isolated activity possible along this front trailing through the region. As we head into Thursday morning now, we're starting to see our next more organized storm system develop across the region as this trough kind of emerges. Some of the better upper level support emerges across the region. This is Friday evening now, seeing widespread showers or perhaps some thunderstorms across Alberta and Saskatchewan. And then as we head into Saturday morning now, we're seeing our area of low pressure right here. We'll see a front extending down from there. And this is where we'll see some shower and storm activity making its way across parts of northern Saskatchewan into southern Manitoba. So our next big storm system emerges here around the Friday to Saturday time frame. And then we've got a big dome of high pressure, a big ridge of high pressure across the central and northern United States. So each one of these little low pressure areas, or each one of these little low pressure centers, is going to be deflected off to the north and east around that ridge. So that's again why southern Manitoba kind of getting the short end here. These organized areas of low pressure, they emerge here across Alberta, and then instead of tracking east across the region, they're going to ride along that ridge here and lift off to the north and east, with the heaviest precipitation falling in this area, with trailing fronts extending off to the south from each of these areas of low pressure, and that brings the scattered activity into parts of central and southern Manitoba. It was a bit of a complicated chart, but I hope that makes sense here why we're seeing the pattern lay out the way it is, with the heaviest precipitation falling across central and southern Alberta into southern and perhaps central Saskatchewan, as each one of these storm systems is deflected off to the north and to the east. So let's take it out a little bit further, and you'll see another example of that now. We get through, we're into midnight on Saturday night into Sunday morning now. That area of low pressure deflecting off to the north and now over the top of that ridge, getting into Quebec and Ontario. And now we're into Monday of next week and Tuesday. Here's our next area of low pressure. Now, we're a week into the future, so you know that this is not exactly how it's going to play out. But with this upper level support continuing to pump into the region, again, this is where we expect our next area of low pressure, or this series of areas of low pressure, to develop here across central and southern Alberta. So here we go, just, pretending that this has got it, nailed down 100%. Here's our next area of low pressure, and you're going to watch it right over the top of this ridge again. So here it goes. We're in Tuesday afternoon and evening, and that's going to continue to lift off to the northeast. I stopped my loop here just because I know we're 7 days into the future now, and I'm going to show you where some of the variability comes here in just a moment. But that is why the precipitation pattern lays out the way it does, with the heaviest precipitation right in this area, central and southern Alberta, central and southern Saskatchewan, with lighter, more isolated and scattered precipitation, but still chances across southern Manitoba, but perhaps the drier conditions lingering a little bit in pockets across southern Manitoba where they're not getting such uniform precipitation. We'll check in with with precipitable water. This is a good way of looking at the moisture content within the atmosphere. And you're really just I want to show you the flow here, where we're watching rich moisture continue to be pumped up from the south, interacting with the upper level support from the jet stream here coming in from the west and the south. So you're going to see that moisture kind of curling around over the top of each one of these storm systems as it exits the area. So here we go, just continuing to pump moisture into the area, interacting and wrapping around each one of these low pressure centers as they come out of the Rockies, bringing precipitation chances to the region. The other thing I want to point out, we'll check in with CAPE. This is our available energy, convective available potential energy, the fuel for these thunderstorms. We're getting into severe weather season across the Canadian prairies, and I've been talking about how each of these storm systems has really meager instability to work with. But as we head into the next 5 to 7 days, slowly starting to work some of that more rich, warm and unstable air up to the north. And so as we head through the rest of the month of June into the early parts of July, perhaps starting to talk about some severe weather chances across the Canadian prairies. Checking in now with temperatures, we'll look at the GFS temperature anomaly here for the next 5 days. So this takes us in through June 30th. We're starting to build some heat into parts of the central United States, but with lots of cloud cover and rain, with this trough over the Canadian prairies, keeping things a bit cooler for the next 5 days. And as we look beyond that into the first couple of days of June, keeping things near average, if not a little bit cooler than average here across the Canadian prairies, but warmer temperatures here over parts of southern Manitoba. And that's because we'll be building this ridge in here and then kind of deflecting the storm systems off to the north. You remember this trajectory of each storm system going to be something like that. So a little bit less in the way of rain and cloud cover across southern Manitoba, tapping in a little bit more to that heat, that ridge of high pressure. And so we do warm up there across parts of southern Manitoba. So if we kind of talk about the next 7 to 10 days as a whole across the Canadian prairies, I would say cool, cloudy, and wet across Alberta and Saskatchewan, and then warmer, perhaps with more isolated rain chances across southern Manitoba. And then this is the uncertainty that I was talking about when we look into the first few days of June or July. I got my months mixed up here terribly this morning. We're looking at the same exact time frame here, Tuesday evening at about 7 p.m. Central, from the same weather model, just looking at 4 consecutive runs. This is the most recent down here in the bottom right, going back in time to the least recent here, all the way on the top left. So stepping through time, if we would have looked at this about 4 runs ago, Looking across the Canadian prairies, we have this big trough swinging through the region, interrupting that ridge of high pressure across the central United States. We fast forward then to the next run. We've got a big ridge across the region now, and that is kind of what we're looking at right now with these storm systems lifting up and over the top, seeing warm and drier conditions across the central and the northern United States. We fast forward to yesterday morning. Now we've got a subtle system sneaking through. We've still got kind of a broad ridge across the central United States, but we're still introducing a small trough here and dragging that out of the region. And then we fast forward to last night's model run, and now we've got an amplified trough off to the west with a broader ridge over the eastern U.S., but still a little cutoff upper level system across the central United States, which, to give it credit, it does have here in each of these runs in some fashion or another. But the European model usually our fallback here as far as consistency goes and as far as being able to hammer out the pattern in the 1 to 2 week time frame. But this is why, we're enjoying this pattern right now, kind of eroding the precipitation deficit. But this is why I don't want to promise that it lasts beyond the 7 to 10 day time frame. We've got some of these runs do suggest a pattern that would keep things wet across the Canadian prairies. But with the low consistency, we're just going to have to see how things sort out. So perhaps by the time we get to our Friday Canada update, we have a little better picture of where we're headed here in the beginning of July. But for now, 5 to 7 days of continued favorable conditions across, absolutely across Alberta and Saskatchewan, to a lesser extent, still keeping the precipitation chances in the forecast across southern Manitoba. Let's zoom in now. We'll look at Alberta here, the total forecast precipitation for the next week. Seeing the highest total here across the Front Range, but still getting soaking precipitation, at least up into the northern portions of Alberta. Again, this takes us through next Tuesday, July 2nd. High temperatures for the next 5 days in the mid-teens to near 20 for the day on Tuesday. Your Wednesday high temperatures here, same thing, upper teens to around 20, the lower 20s off to the south. Low 20s to near 20 degrees on Thursday, and then Friday. And then here is Saturday. We'll pivot off to the east across Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And again, you see the picture here, kind of draw a line in here, and you know that it's going to be, shifting, and this is not going to be exactly how it pans out. But again, the pattern is clear here with a good chunk of Saskatchewan getting some rain chances over the next week. But then when we look at parts of Alberta here, seeing more of a splotchy appearance to where some people are going to get downpours, other people are just simply going to be missed. And so we will keep our fingers crossed for maybe a storm system or two to deliver some uniform rains across the area, but certainly looking more scattered, more isolated in nature across southern Manitoba. Your high temperatures for Saskatchewan and Manitoba for the next 5 days here is your Tuesday high temps from the upper teens to near 20 in Saskatchewan to the mid-20s in southern Manitoba. Your high temperatures on Wednesday. Thursday now getting into the mid-20s across the region. Friday, very warm, and then Saturday, that ridge is building in now off to the south. We were very warm across the central and northern United States, and then again, remember, parts of southern Manitoba tapping into that, a little bit drier, a little bit hotter in southern Manitoba than it will be in Alberta and Saskatchewan, with high temps on Saturday in the lower 30s. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I will have your next Canada regional update for you midday on Friday. Have a wonderful day.